Welcome back, people, to another Dave's Diary update. And I've got a couple of goodies in my hand. But before I actually get into the shed, let's just have a quick wander down to the mailbox, see whether there's been any more deliveries. One of the advantages of doing all the trimming work is I don't have to walk so far before I can see my letterbox. And no, there isn't anything there. So back we go. Bit grey all day. Lawns are looking good. Gave them a bit of mow. Filled up the trailer with some trimmings. Yeah. Been deleting videos, titling videos, ready to load videos. We'll see how we go with that anyway. Right, let's just get the key out. I haven't opened it, have I? Nope. Right. There we go. And I'll grab the items I'll be chatting about into the workshop. It's all pretty self-evident if you're watching. And a little bit of illumination. The item that arrived by courier this morning is the aluminium section. What is it, a 20 by 40, and that is going to be the backbone for my track saw bench dog combination to give me accurately cut panels. Now additionally, I bought this one. It's also a 20 by 40, but it's got a blank face to it. And I was wondering whether that's going to be a bonus or not to use as my fence for pushing up the melamine. Thinking about it, it probably looks better than it actually will function, because the, how would you say, the panels that would push up against the rail, it's not going to be any advantageous having a blank face, and probably it will get all scratched up. So the idea being is that gets mounted to bench dogs, which I've got the accessory for that. This pushes up against the rail, and that therefore is going to be square to the track saw, because it is being held by bench dogs. The rail for the plunge saw, the track saw, is also held at 90 degrees on other bench dogs. Present this up, push it underneath the rail itself, and then I can use the track saw. Nothing new in that at all, but, well, it is to me. And having seen other people making use of that combination, and in particular the ones I've watched with Dennis from Hooked on Wood, and he is helping develop, and I'll just go grab some of the components, helping to develop with Hongdui the set of components that will allow these things to come together. So this is the item. It, hopefully, not having actually used it before, it slides on. I'll put this down for a wee bit, see whether I can assemble them. This is something I haven't prepared earlier, but the idea being is that these T-nuts, or whatever you want to call them, slide into the track with my bumbly fingers, and then with the type of bench dog that we're using, locates very accurately in the accurately drilled holes. Turning it the other way would probably be better, wouldn't it? Anyway, as I say, a bit fiddly with my fingers. Come on, go in there. make me look like I know what I'm doing. No, not wanting to go in there. Well, they will, but a bit tricky, I've got to say. Trying to get both nuts to go in at the same time. I just have to wind them out a bit further, I think. Giving me a wee bit more fiddle room, or wriggle room, one or the other. Come on, go in there. Be nice to me. Oh, there you go. It just wasn't wound out far enough. So, there we go. They sit in there nicely like that. Tighten up. Oh yes, very, very, very nice. I'll pick yours back up. So they fit in there very nicely, thank you very much. The bench dog of this type accurately will centre itself because, in this way it was designed, the O-rings expand out evenly around the circumference of the O-ring, and the bench dog centering and taking up that little bit of tolerance that is inherent in a bench dog hole to bench dog body. It was one of the things that actually, I'm going to say, caught me by surprise, and disappointingly so, was that the hole created by the bench dogs, when you see in some videos, they look like they're quite a snug fit. The tolerance is very nice, but when you go to get them, you realize, or when you use them for the first time yourself, you realize that, oh no, that tiny little bit of tolerance that comes in the bench dog actually has damn things wobble on you, and they only become stable when in this case, the shoulder of the bench dog itself sits down on the table. Conversely, this little thing, which is not a bench dog, it's actually a standoff for a barn door, sliding system, is pretty close to the 20 millimeters that the hole is. This thing here fits in very nicely, and it would be a shame. It is a shame that these aren't better sized. I'm being a bit fussy, and in reality, your timber probably would, in the bench dogs, would probably vary a little bit or swell different seasons, but that's for the individual users to worry about, and the tolerance that's inbuilt to bench dogs is annoying, to be fair. Now, if you haven't yet gone down the path of using a bench dog, I'm just getting the vernier calipers out so you can see what I'm talking about. This might be information that you need to weigh up so you can make your decisions better. So let's just zero it out. Let's pretend that the hole that you drill is 20 millimeters. The bench dog is 0.2 of a millimeter smaller, there or thereabouts. If you're reading that, this bench dog is likewise between 1 to 1.15 to 0.1 mil smaller. In fact, I've got it on the wrong bit just there. Yeah, it's the same. They're machined to that clearance tolerance, and it's these expanding O-rings that allow this style. I think TSO has one themselves, Track Dogs or something, system. They've got very similar. UJK, the same. So they know the limitations of a solid bench dog, designed to be like that, to be kind of fair to them, but that limitation comes with a amount of movement that could create an issue, and you need to do this. Oops, sorry for that. you need to do this to be able to centre the dog properly. There have been other versions where they've got a 45 or an angle cut on two parts of the bench dog, and when you do the top up or the bolt up, it kind of slips the two parts off on an angle and will bind in the hole, making it quite a secure method for holding it down, but it doesn't accurately align the bench dog centrally in the hole, which this really requires. So well done all the developers that have done that, and boo-hoo for the these things. But they do their job, and this is the thing, I'm asking them to do something that they were never designed to do. This accommodates my requirement, so that's why they develop them. You know, it's like, of course, this thing here, as I was saying, that is like pretty darn close to being 20 millimeters. In fact, as I was saying, I use that in a pre-drilled bench dog hole, and it was like, it was just a lovely fit. To be fair, 9 times out of 10, it probably would bind if the season was a wee bit more, a wee bit of humidity, and the fibres of the whether it be melamine like this, plywood or solid timber, it may well swell, and that was something I hadn't considered and before. But there's a chamfering bit which I've purchased to aid me in bedding the bench dogs down, because a lot of them have a little chamfer or a little shoulder on it which requires a chamfer. But there is one product, I can't remember who makes it, that has a resizing, we could say, blade on the body of the tool. So not only does it put a chamfer, but it resizes the hole, because apparently wood moves. And they acknowledged that and made one of these tools, and I thought, oh yeah, that's a good point, never considered that. But yeah, I don't think I'm going to be worried about it too much. I wouldn't mind getting a few more of these if I knew where I could find them, for those situations where I demand a little bit more of a accurate hole without having to pay the money for these things, which aren't cheap, not in the scheme of things. Additionally, these, for what they are, aren't cheap. In fact, I've got where have I got it? Is this it here? I've got a little set which I've talked about off and on quite a bit, actually. This set here. This is a brilliant buy. What I'm amazed about is that I think it's Fonson. I hope I haven't incorrectly named them, but whoever it is, this set is an exceptionally good buy. In fact, I'll probably wind up getting another set just to have it there. $27 in New Zealand pesos. It's the most economical way to buy 10 bench dogs. In fact, to buy bench dogs like this is dearer than buying these bench dogs that have a rubber pad on it, 2 flat faces on it. Don't know whether that's an advantage, but you get 10 of them plus the 2 little rail stops for $27. Yet you can buy just those 10 stops for, I think, in one case I saw they were dearer. Whoops, these were dear. If I got 10 of these, it was going to be somewhat dearer than these 10. Plus I've got this whole set of these and how they interact with each other. So if you followed that, yeah, I might get another set of these for, as I said, the price is not bad. The claim to fame, or no, actually the way it was designed is that can pop in there, go into the bench dogs, and registers the this edge not registers, but locates the edge quite nicely in your bench dogs. And of course, the beauty of this also is that it's not dedicated to a particular size. It will do either 96 or 100mm spacings or increments thereof, sort of thing. So that's really good. And I'm thinking it'll be able to do 45s and possibly other angles as well. So the more I think about it, the more I think might be getting another set of these for those additional benefits. And it comes in a little package, and they don't have their flaming name on it. That was really short-sighted as far as I'm concerned. They should be very happy with, if it is Fonson that made them, they should be very happy with that. What else did I get here? I don't know. I can't remember what this is. Got too many things at the moment. Let's just have a quick look. Oh no, that's the optical punch. Something I probably won't be using as much as I thought, which is unfortunate. These are the same sort of bench dogs, but the very tall ones. And again, this is something that was built. When you pick them up, you know, they've got a bit of heft to them, and they've got some other expansion and capability rings there that can add to this. But again, these go into the hole, tighten up, the O-rings expand out and locate nicely, and these are the ones that will be used for the track saw and the track saw clip that allow me to, in conjunction with this rail, do the 90-degree sort of cuts for the panel. So I'm really looking forward to be able to start making that top. As I mentioned also, I have put in an order for the laser cut rails, and that will be enabling me to very accurately create a set of bench dogs at 90 degrees, because it will be the alignment at 90 degrees that I'll be using these two things in will be hard, how would you call it, hard measured or hard positioned, because they will be the rails that I'll be using for the 345 method. They will be the holes that those dogs go in. All the other holes will be developments of those initial the 345ing of it. So if I can't get it accurate in that position there, I never will. But the method that I'm using, you know, which will be, you know, the proof of the pudding is in the eating, so they say. I think it's incorrect. Anyway, the proof is that when I make my first cut and do the swapping around and testing of the 90 degrees, it will show up just how accurate it all is. And I can't believe this approach or this system won't be dead nuts accurate. So looking forward to that. That length there is, well, how long is it actually? I've forgotten how long I ordered it for, but the rail is, yeah, 800. Wasn't too sure whether it was 500. I'm thinking, no, well, that's not 500. Yeah, it's 800 long. That's going to give me plenty of surface upon which to put my panels to butt up against. Additionally, while I'm here, the thought was, and I think it was something that, this is where Dennis Hooked on Wood, as I keep on talking about him, I promote his, I've got no affiliation, I haven't even commented on his site, or I may have once or twice, but I've watched a heck of a lot of his videos, because he's a good dude, and does stellar work in the woodworking department. But one of the thoughts was that this blank rail, the one with the, you know, none of the mouldings, would be used in conjunction with this. It would be nice to have the ability to join the two together. Dennis, watch my video and have a thought about that. And that way, as we slide the rail, this T-gauge thingy backwards and forwards, this can come backwards and forwards with it, keeping everything nice and square when you cut your thin strips. That was my thinking. Whether that's practical, like you don't want it tilting, and therein lies the issue, is when you're doing thin strips, they really need to still be part of a bigger panel that pushes up against that rail. So you've got your main panel, and as you're pushing it through underneath your track saw, it then hits up against this, and you can cut your strip. But you can't ideally cut a thin strip out of a thin piece, if you get what I'm trying to convey. So having a larger square here may facilitate that. There'll be other ways of doing it, I'm sure, but this is way better than having the parallel arm guides on your track saw with the bars that go underneath to accommodate thin strips. And the big feature of, or one of the big features of this, is that the measurement from there to your track saw blade is the measurement that you want. So when you're doing it the other way with the track saw rail parallel arm guide things, yeah, it's not that you're cutting to kind of like the wrong side of the blade. Anyway, I like that approach, very, very much like that. Love the idea of that. Now I've just got to get the darn bars made from the laser cutting company, and we'll go from there. Oh yay. And then I just had another thought that I might get them to do something for me, and I'm going, oh, that would be expensive, and I may not. But that was to get a pad, say the size of this piece of polystyrene that I've got, have that pad made with the holes already drilled in it in a bigger sheet. Yeah. It's almost like a welding table type setup, like a heavy steel sheet and what have you, but to do it in steel, and then you can put all the guides, inserts. They do a version of this to create a MFT style top, and they've got a CNC machined, it's a phenolic, or it could be high density something or rather, custom wood, where the holes are already cut out to allow you to do your routing to create the holes. Why not just have a plate that you can have stuck away in the shed somewhere, or garage workshop, that you can do the same thing? That might be an idea. Have the holes cut, tap them out, you go from there. Anyway, probably just more of a thought than an actual action. I'll get this before I forget where it fell. Hate dropping things like that when you've got nicely machined items and then you go and drop them. It's not good. Anyway, made a video talking about these two additions. Really like that. They're the switchable magnets, so that I can use these in different situations on mainly for my bench saw. But one of the uses is featherboards, because my track, my saw, my Franken saw, doesn't have the grooves in it like for miter gauges or anything, so it's very hard sometimes to locate things on the bench. It's just a flat press steel. It's not an expensive cabinet saw or anything by any means, but I'm using it as if it were a better quality, more versatile cabinet saw, and having featherboards is really a requirement. So that's what this was going to be for. I was going to try and mount featherboards or pressure rollers or something on it. Also, the benefit is I can put a bit of Lexan or polycarbonate sheet over top of the blade to stop all the all the chip and that firing up and, being dangerous, and being polycarbonate, much more resistant to any chance of shattering. It's where you sometimes see Perspex, and my experience with Perspex has been, or at least the sheet that was called Perspex was, I'm going to say I wouldn't use it because of the chance of it breaking and shattering should something happen, whereas the polycarbonate is that much more, very, very strong material. But to put a sheet of it out over the blade, because sometimes it's not convenient to have a full shroud type cover for the blade, and so this was going to be the method of choice. Hopefully. We'll see. Rightio, well, that's it. Covered off the couple of points I want to make, and for the Dave's Diary entry, cut down some more panels today or tomorrow. They have arrived, so I can pop them away, ready for the big day that I actually cut some darn holes in some panels, and then see how good it really is. Okay, that's it. I'll see you in the next video, hopefully with a whole lot more panel cut out and ready to be assembled. Well, actually, no. Ready to be clashed. Ah, yes, indeed. That's what I've got to think about. Radio, that's it. See you in the next one now. Bye.